Hey, whether it's on your Xbox, your Wii, or your PlayStation, video games have mind-blowing graphics and capabilities that can literally transport you into an alternate world.
Do you play video games?
I do play video games.
I play video games sometimes, but I'm not really much of a gamer.
I play lots of video games.
Yes, I do play video games.
The history of video games and mental health has been a relatively tricky one. Since the late 90s, there have been many different violent crimes linked to video games through the media. In the media, it is often portrayed that video games make people more violent and immoral. However, can video games also be a force for good by helping to improve the condition of people who suffer from serious mental illnesses such as depression and anxiety?
When it comes to mental illnesses and games, I think it depends on the game. Some video games, like social games, Wii Fit, family games, can help because it can give you a bit of a social aspect, where some violent games can hinder mental illness.
I do think games could help with certain mental illnesses, but I don't feel they do help now. I think the games that are popular at the moment don't do anything special to help with anyone's particular mental illnesses, but I think games could be made in such a way that they help with mental illnesses.
Ever since the late 90s, there have been many different reported cases of violent crimes being linked to video gaming.
Do or have video games ever impacted you in a certain way?
Yeah, I was initially just gave me something to enjoy, gave me something I was good at. Then I got too addicted to them, got kicked out of school, so I was doing nothing and all I had was games. So for the year of my life, I didn't leave the house. I got really depressed and I got very dependent on a particular online game, and my life was more situated around that than the game was situated around my life. So,
Do you think that video games can help or hinder certain mental illnesses?
I think it really depends on the person beforehand. I guess it's more like a kind of a cause and effect things to video games. Because just because that person has a mental illness, it might not necessarily mean the video games caused it. It might cause a trigger in the actual game, but I don't think it's the cause, no.
The most widely reported case of this is the 1999 Columbine High School massacre, in which 2 teenage students killed 12 people. After the massacre, the media had shown that the students were considerably obsessed with the famous 1993 video game, Doom. Due to this, people thought that it may have influenced them into committing the crime, and it could have been the main cause of the massacre. It was also later alleged that they had designed levels in the game that matched the layout of the high school, although this was later proven false. This case started a landslide within the media, and after this, many following school shootings or questions have been linked to violent games. Video games can help mental illnesses.
I think they can, but it's very much dependent on the type of game that you're playing. I feel that they can help mental illness. It depends on the type of game that they're playing. If people are already prone to violent tendencies, then playing a violent video game, got an 18 rating, is probably not going to be the best idea for someone that's already prone to it. But if you've got a sort of clear mindset, then I think the argument of video game violence creates real violence it isn't really a thing. But if you're already prone to it, then it's just feeding your own tendencies. But on the other side of that, there's certain games, like the kind of games I might play, like a puzzle game or a strategy game, can be quite therapeutic, can help to relieve stress at the end of the day. Sort of if you're just playing like a puzzle mobile game on your phone, that can be useful. In terms of social interaction, for people that might struggle with like anxiety issues, an online community for video gaming I think can be a very beneficial thing, because it allows them to communicate with people just via an online interaction rather than a face-to-face interaction, and that could then help to build confidence and help to just establish friendships, which can be very, very helpful in terms of if you're dealing with things such as anxiety or depression.
I believe that primarily video games can impact people in a negative way by making them worse or causing them to be violent, in a positive way where it helps them escape from the problems and eventually improve.
Very much depends on who you are. Like, I feel like it can help along the lines of sort of helping people with things like coping with like loss or something. You go into a video game, you're this new person where you're in this completely different world, and suddenly you're like the strongest person in it, and you have complete control, which can sometimes help you sort of stabilize your real life. Whereas the flip side of that is, if you do have something along the lines of depression, that escapism is only going to make you more lonely, and then the depression would get just worse from there on.
Thank you very much for your time.
No problem.